never seen the entire world grieve and reach out for help. No other event in the history of the world has brought so many people together and connected so many people. I am from Uruguay, and on the day I was with my dad, and the phone didn't stop ringing until all the towers fell, that the phone stopped. And I realized from all over the world for 24 hours, people were trying to find out if we were okay, and they knew already. And they were sending clothes, they were sending flags, they were sending help. And being in the church with Pastor Lyndon and Reverend Rabbi Roger Ross, we could see the people bringing stuff all the time. And Giuliani reported it was the first time in the history of the United States that crime dropped to 7%. Nobody was able to kill each other on that moment. So we absolutely had an awareness of no death and unity. And the vigil was born on 9/11 with me and a candle and a bunch of people who wanted to cheer up and try to help overcome the great grief. So now our point of the vigil is to be awake and invite everybody to do something extraordinary, to show people that at one point in our life we can do the 99 monkey effect and celebrate for joy, not for tears. And because we did it once on the reverse, we can flip the coin. It's our time to do it now. So please, join in. Be part of the transformation.
Okay. If you could just repeat the question. I know it is, but I just want to say it again, and I want to hear all the words.
Is fear for survival the main cause for no peace?
So, what I've learned in the work that I do, and in my life and my experience, and from an amazing mentor and teacher, his name is Robert Baker. He passed away last May. May he rest in peace. I owe him my life and the lives of many other people that I will touch in my life. So I wanted to mention him. He taught me about love. And he taught me, and when I learned this, that love is acceptance and allowance. Allowing what is to be. So I want to make the point that, because we're talking about fear, a lot of people think that the opposite of love is hate. But actually the opposite of love is fear. And so when you bring up this point, is fear of survival the reason why there is no peace? Yeah! Because there's so much resistance to what is. There's so much mind stuff trying to make what we want to be instead of allowing what is first and allowing that's what love is. My name is Ima. It is I am OV. And OV is the center of love. And a beautiful gentleman created this for me when I was 23 years old because he was in love with me and he said, oh, I love you more than love. And this word, Ima, OV, because OV is the center of love, means more than love. And that's where we're at right now. We're at the next level. First of all, experiencing what real love is. Love is acceptance and allowance. Not meaning that you have to like what's happening, but in order to move through something and create real change, to have the awareness first, allow what is without fighting against it, no resistance, and through that allowing, you can move into the change. And that's where we're at right now. We're at the place where we're moving into love and past love, and so we can allow what is to be and move through it so we can change the world.
When it comes to the loss of peace, personally I've always looked at it as a forgetting of faith. And I think sometimes in our over-secularized society that we forget to remember God, we forget to remember Source. When we have faith that there is a universal law, when we have faith that there is a soul that is immortal, even when we are afraid, there's the part of us that says, I can walk through this. We can get through this. We do not need to resort to violence or attack just to survive. And even if our life is threatened, there are those who have demonstrated a level of faith in the face of clear danger that is inspired. I look at Gandhi's movement. I look at how they faced death, were willing to die, but they had a faith that if they met with peaceful resistance, that they did not accept violence, but that they did not respond in kind, that there would be something on the other side, that there is a promised land, that there is a reality to this world that we know in our hearts is possible. And if we remember faith, I think even the greatest fear will wash over us and through us and leave us reborn.
One of the other presenters will say something.
Okay, well, I think we're all very blessed to be here. And I've traveled the world, literally, and there are a lot of places in the world that people don't have what we have. And one of the things that I'm very taken about when I go to third world countries is how generous people are with each other, which I don't necessarily feel living in such a wealthy country. And so I think fear definitely affects us, but I think there's something to be said about really wanting to help one another and share and feel like we're together. And I think that's a big part of a real problem in not having peace and thinking in terms of fear. I mean, I think generally, traveling around the world, everyone wants to be happy. And usually it's the governments that are creating the problems. And people are kind of thrown into situations against, their wills of what they really want. But then it doesn't really matter because they have each other, and there's a sense of joy that I find among people in various, as I said, third world countries, that there's someone doesn't have food, they'll give food, And I think living in New York City, where we're traveling around the subway, so often people are hungry and this and that, and it's like we're walking around with our blinders on. And I think about that a lot, of how do we shift this mentality? How do we shift this mentality? I teach, and one of my classes that I teach, I give them this assignment that they have to break up into groups, and they're going to create a game. And this game can't have any sex, drugs, or violence. And they're like, what? There's no games without violence. What are you talking about? You can't have a game with it. And it's so interesting to me how that is so much part of our culture, that it's almost like people don't even notice it. You watch TV, you watch the ads, you watch the cartoons, even the way they, little babies are dressed in fatigues, that kind of thing. And I think that we, and I totally agree with the panel here, we're the seeds that will help plant, and all of us need to do that, because the truth of the matter, nothing ever changes unless it comes from the grassroots. It doesn't come from the top, that there's ever change. And it's by us coming together and really working and really thinking about everybody as our brothers and our sisters, or as the Buddhists say, as our mothers. Everyone's our mother. And really hold each other with being a sacred person and sharing what we have. And I think in our culture, capitalism, the amount of monies that people are spending on, I just heard today, $90 million on a condo. And yet we have people who, don't have food in our country. And so there's a lot that we, as more conscious, working towards that, need to really think, besides how sacred and how blessed we are. So many people out there in the world don't have what we have, and I think by us sharing and by us really making a conscious effort, that we can really change the world and rebalance it, because it's really out of balance at this point.
quickly to add to that. I am from Uruguay, and Uruguay is one of the smallest countries, but not the smallest in the world. But we have the smallest population, less than 3 million people, which is absolutely nothing to compare to New York City on a Sunday. And it's amazing because I bought a little piece of land, and I lived in New York for 44 years, and the story is very funny and short. In the piece of land that we bought, the population of the piece of land was the population of the town. So if I brought my entire family, it would be 25, and if I just went with my husband, it would be 2. And other people there, they would just come and greet us as friends, and they didn't feel like we interfered. They welcomed us. They came by horse, and they said, "Can we invite you for a barbecue? Would you like to have some milk from..." And I never had that greeting in the city. Usually people push me on the subway or on the bus. But I want to let you know that please have faith, because there's 8 billion of human beings here, and we don't have 1 billion of people having war. We don't. So we only focus on the part of the news and the media and the politics. Let's focus on the love. I mean, I go to my country and I see the field, and everybody there is like in love. They do their work and they toil their soil happily ever after. So there is possibility.
I like that positive thought, because as I said earlier on, I believe that most of the world is living in peace or not bothering anybody, and so it's just a small percentage. So the world is at peace. It's just a few people that are mixed up and think that the way we would resolve something might be violently. That might be the solution, and unfortunately we all would love for that not to be a solution. You don't have to like each other, but don't be